Can we talk about The Princess and the Frog, Tiana, and the whole muddled up ending? No? Too bad. Buckle up, buckaroos. I'm ripping this movie apart. Hey guys, I'm Megan, this is the Fangirl, and I have finally decided to remake my Princess and the Frog Moral of the Story video. Now, to give you the full backstory here, before I was making videos and podcasts, I was running a Disney vlog, mostly about the parks, but sometimes other Disney stuff would fill in the gaps between visits. And one day, I found a blog by a popular fella who said that Tangled and Princess and the Frog and, the Disney princesses of the early 2010-ish era were such strong, independent women compared to how Disney previously wrote women. And, well, I took a few issues with that. Overall, I agree that Disney princesses have gotten much more diverse over the years, but Tiana through Anna were not as big of a leap forward in the proper direction, because all of those girls' story arcs had some kind of backhanded element to them. For example, Anna goes through this whole thing of not marrying a man she just met. She learns her lesson that, hey, some people might be evil, you should get to know them first. And then proceeds to hook up with Kristoff, a man who she also literally just met. Or how Tangled set itself up to have Flynn Rider cut Rapunzel's hair. He literally steals her power from her without asking. And I said that that was a horrible way to write the ending. Yeah, Rapunzel made a promise and she never breaks them, but you guys seem to also forget that people sat in a room and decided that Rapunzel would make an unbreakable promise for no real reason. They could have written things completely differently. And I swear it was like Tangled the series heard my cries and fixed that issue within the show. Now, in that blog post of mine, I included a segment on Tiana too, which I'll unpack more in a minute, but when I initially created this channel, I took that blog post and made it into a video. Then I found out that at that time, I was unable to upload videos that were longer than 15 minutes. So my genius solution was to split up this 20-minute video into shorter versions where basically each video covered one princess. And my very naive thought process back then was that viewers would find my content and start from the first video and then watch everything in order. So all of these chopped up videos would play out like the original long form video that it was intended to be. Except that's not what happened. And because I personally saw it as one giant video, I was not explaining myself at the start of each new video. And so quite a lot of people saw Tiana's segment as a standalone piece. And even though many people got charged up over my more negative takes on these Disney films, people got particularly upset about The Princess and the Frog. So that is one of very few videos that I had to pull down because the confusion rate was so high. It basically looked like I was just diving in and attacking Tiana for no rhyme and reason. And that was completely my own fault. I had no concept of what I was getting myself into. But as such, I have wanted to revisit Tiana and her moral of the story for ages now, and now is the time and this is the place. So we all know the basics of the Princess and the Frog story by now, right? Tiana works really hard to save the money to get her dream restaurant. She finally gets enough for the down payment, and after being promised paperwork to buy the old mill where her restaurant would be, suddenly a cash offer enters the arena, and Tiana has to kiss a froggy prince who promises her money so that she can get the building that she wants so badly. And I'm not even going to get into the fact that this movie has some strong implications that women need to sell their bodies to get what they want in life. That is a whole different issue, but it is blatantly there. Then Tiana turns into a frog and has to jump through a bunch of hoops to turn human again, where she marries the human version of the frog, Prince Naveen, and opens the exact restaurant she wants in the exact place she wants it. Before we dive into Tiana, I would like to take a moment to remind everyone that I am the Finner brothers' fake attorney and they did nothing wrong. Unless the Finners owned the old mill, which is never implied in the movie, then it is not within their ability to accept or reject offers. That is at the sole discretion of the property owner. Second of all, I find it hard to believe that the mill sat empty for over a decade, and the owner would have just refused any offer unless that full cash offer were legit. Plus, the Finner brothers flat out said that Tiana still had a chance to get the building if she could come up with the money to beat the offer. And unfortunately, they are also kind of right that Tiana was using all of her funding on the down payment, and that would have made it very difficult for her to make monthly payments, renovate, get all new equipment and furnishings, and hire and train staff before she can open. Point blank, Tiana didn't think it through and was in over her head financially here. It would have been predatory for the Finner brothers to have not made such a comment. But even though the Finner brothers were rude and callous about the new offer and the money, that doesn't change the fact that the mill's owner made the call on who to sell to, not the real estate brothers. So again, they did nothing wrong or discriminatory as realtors, and I still think that this mystery buyer was part of the Shadow Man spell because we never see this person and they vanish by the end of the movie. Okay, with that settled, let's get into the moral of the story of The Princess and the Frog. What really sets The Princess and the Frog apart in 2009 is that Tiana gets told not to exclusively wish on the evening star. That essentially, wishing won't get you very far. You have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears to be victorious. And on the one hand, I like that Disney added this personal accountability factor. We've had far too many princesses who were victims of their circumstances and who often waited around to be rescued. I love Disney princesses, but that whole first wave with Snow White, Cinderella, and Aurora makes me nuts because none of those women have any agency of their own. They're essentially ornamental. We also have characters like Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, and Pocahontas, and they all start off really strong and independent, yet they end up changing their lives and goals when a cute boy shows up. It's as if what those women wanted as individuals stopped mattering and everything became about wanting the hot guy that they met 10 minutes ago. And that second wave of Disney princesses is, again, better, but still frustrating. Then we get Tiana, who starts our third wave of Disney princesses, and we watch her busting her rear to save money, and she never even gets to sleep because she has such tunnel vision for her one big life goal, which is owning her own restaurant. It's the first time we get a Disney princess that has and sticks to a goal like that. And she doesn't immediately swoon for the first cute dude who's nice to her. Tiana is such a refreshing change of pace. Although we still have Tiana and Naveen meeting each other and falling in love within a few days. And certainly, you can have a spark with someone right away and it grow, but my goodness, can Disney ever let a relationship just exist without a marriage proposal for 10 minutes? This notion of love at first sight and blindly jumping into a legal arrangement, like marriage, being the ending for every female-based kids movie is not the best option to shove in the faces of every impressionable little girl in the world. But Disney has done better about changing these kinds of story arcs ever since Moana came out, so that is noted and appreciated. Thank you, Disney. But with The Princess and the Frog, the love story kind of slaps Tiana's hardworking nature in the face. Yes, Tiana learns a lesson about work-life balance, which is important. However, just look at how the story unravels by the ending. First, the Finner brothers say that Tiana has to be able to top the cash offer on the old mill by, quote, Wednesday, or else she loses the building. Which means, by Wednesday night, Tiana becomes a frog, goes through several days of adventuring with Naveen, and by the end of that journey, they get married, turn back into humans, go to Maldonia to get legally remarried in Naveen's homeland, and somehow still manage to make it back back before Wednesday to buy the old mill. Most big balls tend to happen on Friday or Saturday nights, so, people can attend them and stay late and such. Which means when the Fenner brothers talked to Tiana at Charlotte's party, Tiana had to go from getting a crush to getting married twice within 5 days at the most. How? There was international travel and a royal wedding involved here. How did they do this? So not only does the movie give us an unhealthy whirlwind romance that shoves out Tiana's focused, serious mindset, as if there's something wrong with that, but the way that Tiana gets the mill completely ruins her character trait of a hard work ethic. When Tiana returns to buy the mill from the Fenner brothers, the place hasn't been sold yet, which means she's shown up before Wednesday morning at the latest. Otherwise, the contract would have been completed and Tiana would be out of luck. But instead of saying, "Here's my cash offer that beats my competition," she's shown shoving her coffee cans full of loose change at the realtors while Tiana's friend, Louis the alligator, is intimidating them. What kind of morality is that showing us in a Disney princess? Again, I will not argue that the Fenner brothers lacked tact in what they said to Tiana. Even though they were right, they were rude about it. But Tiana's financial situation and another buyer appearing was not their fault. The owner decides who to sell to, period. So Tiana is now a bully, and she's bullying the wrong people. Why couldn't they just show her going to the new owner and making a better deal or something like that? It didn't have to be that way. Then, even though we're shown Tiana and Naveen rolling up their sleeves to fix up the mill, that does not explain where Tiana got the money to pay for supplies. She's gonna need things like ovens, pots, pans, tables, silverware, tablecloths, and a large amount of staff that has to be paid while they're being trained to do their job. And all of this has to happen before it's a business that can open to the public and make money. It is not cheap or easy to start a new business. And as we watch Tiana give every cent she had to the down payment, that means someone had to be covering these other expenses. And the only people who make sense for that are Naveen's parents, because if Big Daddy had been one of the investors, we would have gotten a line about that at the end of the movie. So Tiana uses all of her money plus thousands, if not hundreds of thousands more that came from someone else to get Tiana's place open. And the most logical people to handle that would be the king and queen of Maldonia to do it as maybe a wedding present. But even if that is a gift, it makes all of Tiana's efforts in life be undercut by this ending where intimidation and outside funding comes into play to give her her happily ever after. Which means the moral of the story is, work hard unless that gets too hard and you don't get your way, then just marry rich and threaten people to get what you want. And I am utterly offended by this ending when we had a clear and easy way to make this movie more empowering. Sure, Tiana can marry Naveen, whatever, but instead of the ending we had, why couldn't Tiana's best friend and biggest supporter, Lottie, become her partner? Then Tiana gets her business. We have no reason to suspect that Naveen or his parents paid any of the bills to make Tiana's place happen, and Lottie would now get to have some character development and become the person who schmoozes with the guests as she becomes an entrepreneur herself. Instead, they leave Lottie as a rich, bratty figure living off of Daddy's money. And certainly, Big Daddy LaBeouf would have been the one signing the checks at first. I'm not disputing that. But I also feel like he would let it be more like that scene in Lilo and Stitch where Lilo wants to pay for Stitch's adoption fee, so Nani hands her the money so that Lilo can give it to the girl behind the counter. He would definitely pay for his daughter to get herself financially established, calling it her inheritance or whatever else they could think of. But then Charlotte and Tiana both could become independent businesswomen because of that. And then they wouldn't have to rely on marrying rich to be happy or get what they want. Best friend girl bosses feels like a much stronger, better ending than threatening people with alligators and marrying a prince to get your way. Maybe it's just me, but I am interested in how you take the ending of The Princess and the Frog. Leave me a comment. I might be overthinking it, but that's literally my job. Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, "Hey Megan, I want to mail you something. How do I do that?" Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos like you helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.